Greece has struck an outline deal with its international creditors on the terms of an €86 billion rescue plan that should allow the country to avoid default on a big debt payment due to the European Central Bank on August the 20th. Does this mean Greece is finally charting a way out of its deep financial problems after months of bitter wrangling with its European partners? To discuss this issue, I'm joined by Martin Sandbu, one of the FT's top economic commentators. Martin, a few weeks ago we were talking about a potential Greek exit from the euro. There was a tremendous bust-up at a European summit. Now it seems things are falling into place for a deal to keep Greece in the euro and to put their finances back on track and put their economy back on track. What's happened?
Well, I think it really was a sense of standing on the brink of the precipice back in July. And I think everyone actually got scared. We know that the Greeks essentially capitulated. They had the Syriza, the left-wing radicals in government, had campaigned back in January on ending the program. They had a referendum in July, saying no to the deal that was on offer then. And in the end, they folded and accepted pretty much everything that was demanded of them. That's continued. We see that that seems to have stuck, that decision. They folded, they'll keep folding, they want to stay in the euro. But I think there's also been something on the creditor side that a lot of countries got a bit scared by just how close you got to the whole thing unraveling. A lot of countries, including France, an important Eurozone country, were shocked by how hard Germany was pushing this issue. As you remember, Berlin suggested they should just suspend Greece from membership. So I think on all sides, people have thought, look, we don't want to go that close to the precipice again. Let's get this thing wrapped up. No more late night crises. Let's just get it sorted.
So now we're over that sense of crisis, at least for the time being, it would seem. What is the main element of the deal as far as the Greeks are concerned that they have to swallow? And what have the creditors given up a little bit on?
Well, it hasn't been fully made public yet, but it stands to reason that it'll be very close to what was agreed back in July, because that was an extraordinarily micromanaged set of conditions. And it was already voted
right down
through
to the rules governing bakeries.
Exactly. You know, what sort of weight are you allowed to sell bread in, who can sell bread, and so on. Very detailed structural reforms. And that was already voted once by the Greek parliament as part of we accept the deal. What happens now is that there has to be a new vote on the specifics, and some things have to be passed into law before the rescue fund, the European Stability Mechanism, the ESM, can actually lend any money. So in a sense, it's a sort of repeat and reinforcement of what we've already seen. One piece of news I've seen is the detailed path for the budget surplus. So there's always been a goal of a 3.5% primary surplus, that's before interest payments, by 2018. We didn't know what the year-by-year targets would be. Turns out that they're more backloaded than they have been in the past. They used to be very front-loaded, quick consolidation. Now I've seen 0.25% surplus this year, only 0.5 next year, which means no tightening really next year. And only towards the end do they squeeze to get that surplus.
In other words, some relief from austerity for the Greeks in return for pretty tough conditions on things like privatization, liberalization of energy markets and things like that.
Yeah, I think it's almost too much to say that it's a big concession or a sort of quid pro quo. I think the Greeks have accepted pretty much the whole package. Probably the creditors have, maybe seen that it doesn't make sense to squeeze an economy that's already been put into recession again by all the uncertainty that's happened this year.
So let's assume just for a minute that now the parliaments, such as the German parliament, would have to approve this, go ahead and do so, that this deal is put into place. Is this actually a formula for a recovery of the Greek economy, critically obviously, and an ability for Greece to go on paying its debts? I know that you and many other economists have been pretty sceptical about whether this deal actually is a solution for Greece in the longer term.
Well, I think that the substance of the deal is a bit of a mixed bag. There are good things and bad things, some reforms that will do well, others where we don't have good evidence that they will really do very much for growth. I think it's a good thing that the austerity has been relaxed a bit. That might allow the economy to breathe. But I think the most important thing here is that hopefully the uncertainty will end. People will no longer worry whether Greece will still be in the euro next year, in which case, why would anyone invest, right? So even if it's not the greatest deal, the fact that there's a deal in place, if it really does get passed by everyone who has to pass it, that should do something. I don't think we should expect a quick return to growth. A lot depends on what happens with the banks. But perhaps we'll see the end of the renewed slide and gradually they'll start to crawl out of their hole.
So perhaps Greece not just back from the brink, but back on some kind of track. Martin Sandbu, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.